Welcome to Gopher Basketball Weekly with head coach Richard Pitino, Mike Grimm and Justin Gaard with you, and we're glad to have you along here on our Tuesday afternoon edition of this show. It's sponsored by Sunbelt Business Advisors. Sunbelt Business Advisors wants to be on your team when you buy or sell a business. Onward for Business, the one-stop shop for buying or selling your business and for payroll, insurance, bookkeeping, and more. Onward. Guardsy, good to see you here on this Tuesday.
Thanks, Grimmer. It's good to see you.
You got your family sign back there a little crooked. Is that supposed to be that way?
It's a metaphor for my life. Yeah, the family is crooked. There are no pictures of my family behind me. There's just empty frames. So you can read into that however you want. You can read between the lines however you want on that, man.
Wow, very good. That's wonderful news to hear.
Forget about me. I love you, Grimmer. That's what family stands for back there.
Family stands for. That's what
correct.
Stands for. The head coach is with us as well, Richard Pitino. Good to see you, Coach.
Great to see you as well.
You're getting ready for a travel day today. Penn State tomorrow, coming off of a rough week, a Thursday loss to Northwestern, and then a road loss to Nebraska on Saturday. Kind of take me through what coming back home late on Saturday, and kind of how the guys have responded to a rough few days there.
Well, obviously, since we've gotten hit with injuries, we haven't been the same team. That's not a coach making excuses. That's, but this team is healthy. It's beaten a lot of really good teams. We have not been able to kind of get our mojo back since Liam went down, since Gabe went down. Booth is really hobbled, and it's just hurt us. And it's very, very challenging. Nobody ever wants to hear about that, but that's the reality of it. We've, offensively, obviously, Marcus scoring 41 points is not, realistic. I mean, amazing performance by him, but we've really struggled on the defensive side of it since obviously Gabe went out and Liam went out. And again, Booth, if you watch, Booth's really struggling to move out there. So it's been a challenge for sure. So, I think biggest thing I've tried to do is take the pressure off the guys, tell them, it sounds crazy, but, you go win 2 in a row, you get some momentum into the Big Ten tournament. Who knows what might happen, because you got great wins. So you never stop fighting. You never stop believing. When you're a basketball coach or in sports, people want to write the ending of the story in the middle of the season. Maybe it's player of the week honors. Maybe, do it at the end. And it's a long story, a long season with twists and turns. So just getting them staying positive. It's hard to practice, obviously, because we don't even have 10 healthy guys. So, you keep the numbers low and you just try to get them better.
How have you adjusted, maybe offensively, or tried to adjust without Liam? Because he is your main low post presence, where if you're shooting poorly from 3 or the shots aren't falling, he's a place you can go. He obviously hasn't been around. So how have you tried to get around that to get something else going if the shots aren't falling?
Yeah, that was 13 points a game, 7-something rebounds a game. Obviously led the conference in shot blocks. So that's like a major piece that's just out. So there's no coincidence when it hit in Purdue, we've lost 5 in a row. Not to say Gabe isn't an important piece, he is, but losing Liam is a lot harder to replace than a guard necessarily. And Gabe is obviously very valuable as well. But when you are not shooting the ball like we are, you have to go inside. And, Eric's just not real confident down there. He's more of a 4 playing the 5 spot. Sam is getting a little bit better, but still not totally comfortable with getting it down there. Obviously, Jarvis opting out is another big that's not there. So it's been a challenge, and the biggest thing I keep trying to tell these guys is, if you are shooting such a low percentage from 3, it should not be 42% of the shots that you take. You got to get to the free throw line. And we were in the double bonus late in the second half versus Nebraska, and we started getting to the foul line, and that's how we changed the game. But it's the defensive side of it that we're really, really struggling to kind of form an identity there that we've just tried to work on and drill and practice.
And on the defensive side, without him, without Gabe, you're weakened on the perimeter. But if you have Liam Robbins in there, even if you're a little weak on the perimeter, he can cover up a few things by erasing shots around the rim. Without him, that kind of exasperates a problem, right?
Yes. Yes, it does. I mean, it's. I don't know. I mean, as a coach, you sit here and you're gonna really struggle in this league when you lose two starters. And really Booth was a starter who's been hobbled. I mean, that's three guys. You can criticize us all you want. That's a lot of important pieces. And having a shot blocker makes up for a lot defensively. When I was at Louisville, we certainly were a very good defensive team, but we weren't doing a whole lot of technical fundamental drills defensively. We were just speeding you up and funneling you into Gorky Zhang, and he's just blocking everything. And it's just, you look at like Kentucky basketball, same way. I mean, they just block so many shots. And when you have a Liam back there who's got great timing, and it's huge. So we're definitely struggling to get that part of it for sure. We miss him greatly. And, we don't know if he'll be back versus Penn State. We're hopeful, but it's going to be kind of a game time decision there.
You've seen a lot of Marcus Carr performances. Where do you put that one? And I think Eric Curry said after the game, you even said in the huddle, Marcus, go get 40, which is good coaching. That's smart, I suppose. But obviously having a courtside seat for that one, basically trying to will you guys to a victory.
Yeah, I did. I yelled on the court, go get us 40. And we're just struggling to find points in a lot of different areas. I think Trey is trying to figure it out. I think Jamal has had obviously moments offensively where he's been good, but he's still a freshman. He's doing some freshman things out there. Booth is really, really hurt. So we're trying to figure out where the points are at. I think Brandon's an option down there for sure. But Marcus was playing very, very confidently. So we kept telling him, man, just keep going, keep going, keep going. And I couldn't believe, I think Spencer or Grimmer said it after the game, that we've had 5 40-point games. Like, that's remarkable to me. I don't know if I've ever seen it, to be quite honest with you. So it was impressive.
Yeah, it was. I think the last one was Andre Hollins. Maybe the year before you got here, he had 41 against his hometown Memphis team in the Bahamas in a exempt tournament down there. It was that was fun to watch, and it was fun to watch certainly with Marcus. And he got off to such a quick start, and I mean, it goes without saying, all of a sudden you get a jolt of confidence on a quick start, and you could kind of sense that. I think at one point. He had 22 of what it was like 45, 50% of the points or more, maybe 65%.
Well, I mean, 41 of 74.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, exactly. Pretty amazing. Yeah, he's playing with great confidence. He's trying to will us to victory, when we're so undermanned right now, and it's, you're seeing a lot of kind of older guys throughout college basketball right now during this unique time, maybe shut it down, and he's not. And that's great to see. Shows the character, behind him.
I've seen a lot of your post-game interviews. I've talked to you obviously a lot for 8 years. I don't know if I've ever seen you that emotional after a game. What led to that emotion? What were you feeling in that moment? And what are you feeling now a couple of days later?
Well, I mean, the bottom line for a coach is like, listen, there's all these reports that I'm saying I think I'm done. That's not true at all. I don't. I have full confidence that we're going to go get some wins. We need to get healthy. It's very, very hard to win when you don't have players. We need to get healthy. But this team, when healthy, has beaten 5 ranked teams, which I believe is a school record or tied a school record. We just have to get healthy. But I fully believe in what we're doing. But, I want to take the pressure off of our players. I don't want them to feel the burden of this, because I know I can handle it. I know that the stories are going to be written and the chatter is going to happen. And, the reporters are going to try to get the answers. And, I get it. I do get it. And I'm not offended by it. But I also don't want our guys to feel that, sometimes the beauty of being a college coach is you're getting guys at the best time of their lives. And you don't want them to feel true stress like we feel, and I've said it for 8 years to you, Guardsy. Nobody cares. They really don't. You can complain about injuries. Nobody cares. You can complain about coaching in a pandemic in a different environment. Nobody cares. When you're a basketball coach, it comes down to when you have played 25 games, it's all about your record. It does not matter environment, being in a pandemic. It doesn't matter. Injuries, none of it matters. And I wanted our guys, and I was emotional. And I'm not going to, apologize for that. You pour your heart and soul into something. But I want our guys to understand, like, this is supposed to be fun. Now, playing the way that we play sometimes is not fun. So, like, jacking up half-court shots and, hey, let's go play horse. Like, fun is winning. But I don't want them to feel the pressures that the adults in the room are feeling. And I want to make sure that versus Penn State and versus Rutgers, like, let's finish this thing out the right way and see where we can go, in the Big Ten tournament. So I don't feel like I'm done. I know the reports that I feel like my end is near, like, and who knows, maybe it could happen. Like, and life will resume. We'll all be okay. But the bottom line is, like, I'm going to coach my butt off, like I did yesterday, like I'm going to do today. I'm going to go, hopefully, maybe we can get a guy back versus Penn State and Liam, and see if we can get a road win. And, all that chatter and all that anonymous sources and this and that, you can't control it. I just want our players to have fun, and I want them to continue to stay together.
Do you feel like they have been feeling that pressure, or they feel that pressure that you're talking about?
Yeah, for sure. And I don't know if it's necessarily about me. Maybe it's the NCAA tournament. It's been such a crazy, we were sitting at 6 and 7, 5 ranked wins, school record. We've beaten 2 1 seeds, and then we got hurt. And it's changed. Nothing really besides that has changed. And those are things that are out of their control. So you hate it for them. And, you don't want that to go along with, hey, are they going to fire the coach? And, like, I don't want that on their shoulders. Like, I can deal with that. I can deal with it. Are you going to have good days and bad days? Sure. But I want them to get a great experience here. And I want them to, obviously we got 2 more games of Penn State and Rutgers, but I want them going into Indianapolis saying we can go make some noise. So that's my belief. But I think they can't hide in today's world because of their phones. We've talked about it over and over again. Mm-hmm. There's so much information being thrown at them, and so many, people reaching out behind kind of our backs and going through different channels, which is what it is. It's part of the profession. But I want them to, like, when I say have fun, again, like that doesn't mean that we're going to lose discipline. But like, let's keep believing. When you have as many good wins as we do, keep believing.
You've talked for years, almost every show at some point you talk about trying to block out the noise, and that it's hard for players sometimes to do that. You mentioned phones. What are strategies a coach can impose? I mean, you talk about, trying to tell them, hey, have fun, don't worry about this. Or, I mean, is that the way you have to go about this in terms of blocking out the noise, which right now we're in the chaos?
Yeah, I don't think that you can. The noise is going to get to you. It always does. I can't believe how many times I get texts from friends who are like, don't read the paper. I'm like, well, now I want to read the paper, or like, screw this guy. And I'm like, don't text me that, So the noise will get to them. It always does. To me, it really has to come down to, I had a great piece of advice from Chris Peterson, the head coach who was at Boise, and now, the football coach who's now since stepped away from coaching. And he told me, I think it was this summer, just you have to live by, there's 2 types of scoreboards in sports. And there's the one that judges you by wins and losses, judges you by your record, like that's his record, that's it. Or you can live by an internal scoreboard instead of the external scoreboard that fans and media, and you're going to get judged by that. Like, I'm not trying to say winning doesn't matter. But and I told my team this, like, you got to look yourself in the mirror, and whatever happens to me, like, been here for 8 years. I've done everything the right way. I've been a little bit unlucky. That's okay. But I can look myself in the mirror and say that I've treated everybody with respect. I've treated you guys with respect. Got a couple bad breaks. That's fine. But you got to have that integrity and that belief that you've poured your heart and soul into what it is that you're doing. And then if you get some bad luck along the way, you can live with it. And that's my point to telling these guys is, like, hey, if you put, like, Gabe Kalsher is a perfect example. Gabe has had some shooting slumps. Man, look yourself in the mirror and say that you worked your butt off. Like, you never had an 0 for something night and then said, well, I'm not going to the gym. Like he's shooting around right now with his left hand. Like the kid just loves it, and he should have that pride, So it just depends on, like I said, that noise, that world, you can't live in it. It's going to get to you. There's no ignoring it, but it can't mean much to you. It's got to be what you're all about as a person. And the older guys, because kind of the hourglass is turning for them a little bit. They're not sure what the future holds. Like, did you go all out? Did you embrace your opportunity? Did you do things the right way? Did you cut corners? Were you about the right things? And those are the most important things. And then, the old, what is it? Bill Walsh book about the score will take care of itself. You got to believe that. And, so hopefully we keep believing and keep fighting and see if we go get Penn State.
And what is I asked how the guys have been handling it. Do you feel like this is, like they're ready to go? Like, hey, let's go take this on and have some fun here to finish this out?
I do, but I also think we're drastically injured. I thought they were that way versus Nebraska. I even thought they were that way versus Northwestern. We just sent them to the foul line a bunch. And so, I don't feel like morale is low at all. Again, I'm not waving the white flag, regardless of what somebody may write. I'm not waving the right flag. I'll go kicking and screaming out of here, and I'm going to fight my butt off to continue to coach and to coach the right way and to pour my heart and soul into this thing. So kids are, at that age are very, very resilient. They're very resilient. What's challenging is when you're seeing a lot of guys in the training room. That's where the challenge lies.
All right, we're due for a break here. We'll take that. We'll come back. We'll have more. Our show is sponsored by Sunbelt Business Advisors. This is Gopher Basketball Weekly with Richard Pitino from Learfield, IMG College. Welcome back. It's Gopher Basketball Weekly with head coach Richard Pitino, presented by Sunbelt Business Advisors. It's Onward for Business. They want to be on your team when you buy or sell a business. Onward for Business, again, is the one-stop shop for buying or selling your business and for payroll, insurance, bookkeeping, and more. Onward. You mentioned that there's a possibility you might have Liam tomorrow night, Coach. I wanted to ask about Gabe. I know he's not available tomorrow, but how is he progressing? You mentioned he's taking, left-handed shots just to try to stay active. Is there some hope maybe as Indianapolis rolls around next week, you might have him?
I know if it's up to him, he'll do it. Yesterday during practice, we're kind of going through some Penn State stuff, and I'm just hearing this ball just boom, boom, boom. I'm like, will you shut up? And it's Gabe, and he's just in a stance, and he's banging the ball, and he's just foaming. He's doing sprints up and down on the side. He's a machine. So, like anything, it would probably surprise you guys how little I get involved in all that. I don't want them ever feeling like I'm rushing them back or, I want them to feel 100% comfortable. And I want doctors and I want trainers to decide. I think we all know. I mean, whether we go to a doctor and I want a second opinion, and we all do it. We all stayed at a Holiday Inn last night, right? I mean, we all think we know, we're doctors. So with Gabe, I think there's a chance. I do, but I don't want him. I don't want him playing and writhing in pain by any means. So yesterday was the most active he had been. He hadn't really done a whole lot, but he's getting his cardio up, and he just loves the game, and we clearly miss him from a defensive side of it for sure.
Eric Curry, I thought, said something interesting and it's factual, because he said, I went through a lot to actually play and get back here, so I'm going to do my best to enjoy every second, kind of off of your message to the team. So what has it been like for you to see him, the last couple of years? I remember a show last year, we talked to him on what seemed like his third or fourth rehab. I think you were out recruiting one day, but that he's been able to go through fairly healthy. He's been able to actually play. Obviously, he might not have the same, leap and jump and quickness that he might have had when he was a freshman, but the fact that he's been able to come back from all that, what's it been like watching that?
Yeah, I mean, you hate that we're going through the injuries that we're going through, and he's not getting that experience of that great experience. I don't know. Before we had injuries, I thought we were an NCAA tournament team. And so you hate it for older guys who are, kind of on their way out. I would anticipate, and I haven't talked to Eric about it, but this will probably be his last year. And you want him to have that great experience. but he's done some good things, and he's doing that kind of on his last legs a little bit, and the thing about Eric that's great is, with all the, just the injuries and the, stuff out of his control, he's never wavered from staying positive, leading. He's always on the sidelines, even when he was hurt, and he's, got a good eye for the game, wants to be a coach. I've tried to tell him over and over again, you're a moron, don't do this. But he would be good. He really would be good. So it's cool that he's out there playing, but, I wish we had a team full strength so we could be out there playing and winning, so hopefully we can do that versus Penn State, and he could be a big part of that.
No follow-ups, Guardsy? I thought you might have a follow-up on Mr.
Curtis. I'm sticking to the rules of every other question. Sorry. I thought you were pausing for dramatic effect.
No, all these years I didn't know we had that rule, but
it's the Zoom era.
There we go. I will say this. We went a little long on that first segment, so let's sneak in a quick break here. We'll pull our best Dan Barrero. We'll catch up, and then we'll come back and have the long contested 2 when we come back. It's Gopher Basketball Weekly with head coach Richard Pitino from Learfield, IMG College. Welcome back. Segment 3, Gopher Basketball Weekly with head coach Richard Pitino, sponsored by Sunbelt Business Advisors. Grimm and Gaard with you, along with the head coach. Gophers tomorrow. It is a 6 o'clock tip-off, Minnesota and Penn State from Happy Valley. We will take air on the Gopher Radio Network at 5:30. Locally here in the Twin Cities, we will be on KFAN, and we will catch it right at tip-off at 6 o'clock. Guardsy, it's time for your long contested 2.
I want to cycle back to something you said in the first segment, Richard, about just the noise, obviously, and you don't want the guys to feel the noise. You're the one that, deals with it, and you say the adults in the room, we've got our real stresses, we're really handling it, or we're trying to handle it. I'm curious, like over the years, how have you navigated through that? We talked a little bit about this last year with different rumors and different things that come up, and your job obviously is going to be a hot topic of conversation here for the final couple of weeks of the season. So how do you actually block it out? Are you lying to us that you don't block it out? Do you think,
no, I'm not.
How do you do it, I guess?
Well, like, to say that like it's irrelevant and that you don't hear it and it doesn't bother you, that I would be lying.
Right.
But you don't take it personal. Like, again, I'm not going to, politic for myself because I don't do that, but we were a damn good team until injuries hit, bottom line. And so it's like I talked about before, it's that internal versus that external scoreboard that you have to live by. And if you're only about wins and losses, you're going to really, really struggle when adversity hits, maybe it's injuries, or when people are calling for your head in the newspaper, fans, message boards, etc. Then you're really going to get bothered by it. It doesn't really bother me that much because I'm not really into all that stuff. I never have been, and I'm not to say that like it doesn't suck what we're going through. Like, of course it does. And, your family feels it. And, you're like your daughter, my Ava, hears it and feels it. But I don't want anyone to feel sorry for me, like by any means. So I have a good perspective. I really do. Like am I perfect? By no means, or by all means, no, I'm not. But I do know, again, like when I wake up every morning, and I look myself in the mirror, I'm like, for one, boy, you're getting older. But 2, it's I know what I'm all about, so it's a tough business, like excuses are not going to be listened to. And there are reasons in my book, but they're excuses in other people. So you take it for what it is. So yeah, it's hard. You want people to see what you see, but they're not going to see that. And you are always going to be judged by your record. You're not going to be judged. Like we talk about all the things that we want to be all about, whether it's setting records in the classroom, which we've done, graduating every player, which we've done, going to the tournament 2 years ago, back-to-back NBA, we've done those things. But you're going to be judged by your record. And it does not matter if there's injuries. People don't care. And so that's why I've always said to you, nobody cares. So it's just waking up every day with a great attitude. I told my team, there's a great book, and it's a very famous book, A Man Searching for Meaning. I don't know if you guys have heard it, by this guy, Viktor Frankl, who was in a concentration camp. And obviously when you're in a concentration camp, taking everything from you, your family, your rights, all that. And he said the one man's last freedom is his freedom to have a good attitude, to choose to have a good attitude. And that's always been me, you know, I mean, and that doesn't mean that I'm not going to get emotional. Like, yeah, I'm going to get emotional, but about 99% of the time, I'm going to keep it in perspective, not take it personal, and keep it moving.
You talked a little bit about it, but you've gone through this as a son, obviously growing up in the business. What's it like on the flip side, going through it either as a husband or going through it as a dad, where you mentioned, I mean, Ava is old enough now where she probably does pick up on some of this stuff. So how do you navigate that or handle that?
Yeah, that's hard. Now, I mean, growing up as a son, my dad was like winning national titles and going to Final Fours, and a little bit different.
But that one blip with the Celtics, otherwise you're right?
It was
that's
pretty
like the
damn
only
good.
adversity you probably ever went through as a kid in terms of that.
Yeah. I mean, as an adult, different, you know, but like, yeah, growing up, man, it was pretty good. So, yeah, you know, in my house, being a basketball coach isn't really that big of a deal. Which is a good thing. And like growing up, I would say in my house, it was too much about my dad's stuff instead of the kids' stuff. It's never really been about that in our house, and it'll never be about that in our house. So I think that may be a little bit easier. But yeah, of course, it's a challenge. It's a big challenge, but we all deal with it. Nobody's making me be a basketball coach. You know, I mean, it's a choice that I make. But that's really hard. You know, everything gets harder when you have kids, everything. And I think the challenging part about sports is if it doesn't work out, you got to move your family. It's a little bit different than when you're settled in one place. But, you know, again, we're going to keep believing that it is going to work out. We're going to keep believing that we're going on a run. And then, you know, for whatever happens. But they're always going to get great love in our house. You know, we're always going to focus on them first, the kids. You know, so doesn't matter where we're at, you know, hopefully we're here, but if we're somewhere else, that's not going to change.
What type of discussions have you had with Mark? You know, just in terms of, are you going to meet after the season? In terms of your relationship in general, how does that go?
Our relationship is awesome. And he could fire me in a couple of weeks and it'll still be great. It's not this whole storyline that, you know, how's your relationship? Like, you don't have to have a tense relationship for him to want to make a decision. He's the boss. And I've had 3 different ADs. I know my place in this world, and they are the boss, you know? So, you know, Mark and I have spoken. He wants to win, you know, and he wants to help. And we spoke, I think, after the Northwestern game, and he said, how can I help? And I said, well, unless you're like Mr. Miyagi and you can, you know, rub your hands together and get Liam's ankle fine and get, you know, Gabe's finger back, I don't know if there's much you can do right now. So, you know, I mean, my relationship's great with him. You know, I think he's about the right things and I think I'm about the right things. That doesn't give me a pass, you know? So, you know, I know everybody has decided that it's already going to happen. Like, I believe Mark wants me to win the next 2 games. I think he wants me to win 4 games in the Big Ten tournament. I really believe that. We got a lot of injuries, you know, so we speak daily. You know, we have spoken daily since he's been here. And, you know, there's been leaks in the media and things like, I know it's not him. I really believe that. I really do believe that. And he's going to have to make tough decisions, and that's fine. You know, it's big boy business. And, but he's been very, very supportive, and I know he'll support me till the end.
Grimmer, anything you want to add? I went 3 instead of the long contested 2, so I hope that's all right.
Ask how much wine I've drank during this losing streak. We can.
Well, you know, I did. You made a big point last week about how you know
drinking less
out of the last 365 days, I think is what you said, where you didn't have that glass of wine. But yeah, after Northwestern, after Nebraska, you get into it a little bit.
No, I've been good. It's like I said, you know, guys, like they're playing hard. We're just it feels a lot like 4 years ago, where Reggie was out in the middle of the season, Amir was out, Dupree could hardly practice. It feels very similar. Who knows? Maybe we get Liam back and we find a way to get 2, and then Gabe comes back. Like that's the key to this year is getting healthy. But we're gonna continue to stay positive every single day and embrace the opportunity.
I do have a question then, as long as we're on the topic. So is wine your relaxing drink of choice, or would you sit down with a beer, both? How sometimes, if you are, just seriously, so, like, I'm not a drinker at all. Like I just don't.
Oh, good for you.
I'm not against it. If you want to, that's fine. I just don't like the taste of wine or beer, either one. If beer tasted like Diet Mountain Dew, I would be an alcoholic.
I like a nice glass of wine. I don't love beer. Like beer, maybe a summertime beer. Getting older, you pee like 10 times when you have a beer.
You are getting up there.
I'm getting old.
True,
I like a nice, put the kids to bed and a nice glass of wine to wind down. But I'm not and I'm not like criticizing people, but I'm not a huge drinker by any means. But you definitely, like, when you're done with a long day's work and you get the kids down, it's nothing like, turning on a Minnesota Wild game and having a glass of wine. That's like what I do now. So I like it. I like it.
We won't even ask Guardsy, because we'd have a long list of things he likes to drink if we got.
That's true. Yeah, I'm the wrong source on that. Yeah,
I'm definitely a seasonal. Like, it depends on the weather, depends on your environment type guy.
Gotcha.
And it's about to get really nice here. It's going to be 44 degrees today. I mean, that's basically shorts and t-shirt weather around here. Get the grill out.
I will keep you guys posted. Yeah, I'll keep you posted on what it is that I'm drinking.
Yeah, that could be a nightly tweet from your Twitter account.
That'll be good.
For me, it would be.
We've often debated, if you could give up wine or coffee, what would it be? And I still don't think I could give up coffee. I love coffee. The only thing that gets me out of bed in the morning.
Well, that's interesting. I don't drink wine or coffee, so I'm.
You're a picture of health, Grimmer. Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's I get my caffeine kick other ways, I guess. That's for sure.
I don't understand anybody that doesn't drink coffee. I understand wine and alcohol, but I have no tolerance for an adult who doesn't have a cup of coffee in the morning.
Well, there you go. Very well. All right. I feel great about that. That is our long contested 2. It turned into a little longer than contested 2, but there we go. We will take a break. We'll wrap up our show when we come back. We'll preview Minnesota and Penn State. That comes tomorrow night. Sunbelt Business Advisors brings you Gopher Basketball Weekly with Richard Pitino from Learfield IMG College. Welcome back. It's our final segment, Gopher Basketball Weekly, with head coach Richard Pitino, Mike Grimm, and Justin Gaard, along with the head coach Richard Pitino. Tomorrow it's a 6 o'clock tip-off. We will take air at 5:30 on the Gopher Radio Network. Spencer and I will be here calling the game. The game is in Happy Valley State College, technically, I guess, University Park. And Coach, the Nittany Lions have been an interesting team. They're a tough team. They've played tough really since Pat Chambers got there. They have obviously an interim head coach this year, but it seems like that identity has stayed. What can you tell us? Again, one of those quirks in the schedule. I haven't seen them all year, and here you go at the end, last week of the year, you get them.
Yeah, really scrappy. Try to turn you over and shoot a bunch of threes. And unlike us, they make those threes when they shoot them. So that's they'll fire them away. I mean, they really shoot a bunch of them, and they're just scrappy, and they're fast, and they're athletic. They got a lot of returners back. Obviously Stevens is a different element, but they're trying to spread you out a little bit more and shoot a bunch of threes and turn you over.
When you face a team that does want to jack like that, I mean, what's the key to defending that? What's the key? Over the years, I think you've been pretty good at defending the three. So what's important when it comes to that?
I always say, hey, if they're a 38% three-point shooter, your defense should cause them to be like a 30% shooter. Whether it's your activity closing out, whether it's high hands, whether it's yelling shot, those are the things your disruption should lower their percentage. They may still make a few, but the lower percentage that they have on it is huge, because, you got to make them, I don't know if running them off the line, but you have to be a presence at the line and understand, because they're playing 4 guards. They're not playing 2 traditional bigs, and even, Buttrick off the bench will shoot threes as well. So we have to have an influence on lowering the percentage.
Hara, their big center. I remember watching him last year and thinking, yeah, he's a big guy. I didn't think he'd bloom or blossom like he has into. I mean, he like leads the league in offensive rebounds. Yeah. I mean, he's a force. You're gonna have to get a body on him, obviously. Not that I need to tell you the game plan, but he's the guy you're gonna have to identify.
I got it. We'll tell the guys to block him out. Yeah, no, he's. I always thought he was pretty good. Like, you know, he the story with him was, he was recruited for football, and it's like I'm kind of like, well, he's better than a football player playing basketball, and he's had some really big games. He is relentless. I mean, just physically, he's in great shape. He's big. A lot of big guys get tired. Like if Liam does play, I mean, I can only imagine how tired he'll be because he hasn't practiced in 2 weeks. So exactly right. I mean, we got to put a body on him. Like we talked about, when you shoot a bunch of threes, that means long rebounds. So guys that got to hit bodies, you got to embrace the physicality and keep him off the glass.
With Gabe out, obviously, and Jamal being in there, you're very small. I don't have to tell you defensively. So how do you get around that, especially if Liam doesn't play? Just having 2 really small guards. We saw, I think, against Nebraska, them say, all right, we're going to go at these guys a little bit because of the height advantage. So how do you try to, smoke and mirrors your way around the fact that you're very small at the guard spot?
Good question. I told Marcus yesterday in practice jokingly, I said, the fact that you're our best defensive option is a problem. And he started laughing. But that's kind of been why I didn't go with Jamal and Marcus together. And Booth being hobbled hurts too, because Booth has got good length. He's not moving well at all. So how do I get around that? I don't really know. Jamal, I think, saw last game. It was a 3-point game and he had an opportunity to be physical and he didn't.
Right.
He's learning, I mean, this is a tough league for a freshman to be thrown into the fire, and he'll be a lot better for it, but that's the beauty of Gabe, has always been like, he's going to impact the game regardless of his shot is falling or not. And that's what, you just got to learn as a player. So that's a challenge. You have to be physical in this league or you got no chance.
The playing at Penn State, I guess I'm taking a little swipe at them, but
take a shot at them for not having fans at their game.
Yeah,
go ahead.
It won't be that much different than tradition. Now, last year they sold out. They sold out the game we were at. Remember, that was their first sellout in like 10 years or something. But that's one of those unique places where it hasn't been a lot of big fan support. So this will be like a normal trip.
That's a shot at Penn State. That's not okay.
Jeez, Grimmer. I mean, you want to get on the message boards?
You asked me to do it. I was going to take a shot.
This year's been so unique, and I've said from day one, we're playing in the middle of a pandemic, and some can choose to treat it like a normal year, and some can't. But that's not a coach making an excuse. It's just like there's so many things that we are dealing with before the game that nobody knows about. And I do credit our guys for sticking with it, and because it's very, very, challenging. And so playing on the road is weird. Like, I know we haven't won a road game, as crazy as that feels. And I think a lot of it is the depth of the league. I think the teams that we've played on the road are really, really good. And then we got the easier games as we've had injuries. But it's the road is very unique. It's no different than if you're just random guy traveling. Traveling is unique right now. Mm-hmm. Everything is unique. We're playing sports in the middle of a pandemic, but as a coach, you're going to be judged. It doesn't matter what the environment is that you're playing in. It doesn't matter. There are no passes. So Penn State with fans that's always been unique, because this league has got so many good home courts, and then all of a sudden you go to Penn State and it doesn't have that. Now, like you said, last year they did, but I think we're kind of used to the no fans thing. But the travel, it's challenging for sure.
I talked to a coach the other day and said one of the challenges with all the stuff that you guys go through is they're worried about getting guys to the finish line, because it is draining to do the testing and to have that anxiety and to miss time, even if you're not all of those things. So how have you, I think we've talked a little bit about this as we've gone along, but how do you kind of keep in mind the mental side of things as you go? And obviously you're not playing well right now either, and you've got a bunch of guys out. So mentally, it's got to be a huge challenge to just make sure guys are feeling good and feeling ready with all the other stuff that they've gone on.
Yeah. And that's one of the reasons why, I wanted to address kind of my status with the guys after the game. Like, man, there's a lot going on, and I'm a pretty unemotional guy. I don't get too high. I don't get too low. But they're dealing with a lot. And now you're going to throw that on top of everything else. I don't want them to deal with that. The world is going to resume at some point. We're not going to have to, hopefully, wear masks all the time and get tested 6 out of 7 days. But, and I'm not looking for pity, but it's been really, really hard to coach a bunch of guys. And our guys have been great in the middle of a pandemic because it's not unique. I remember going in the beginning of the year, it was we just got to get through this. And, it's not the case. When you start playing the games, they're going to expect you to win. And I don't want our guys feeling that because, like you said, the mental health part of it. The worst thing in the world for mental health is isolation. The worst thing in the world. And that's what we're doing to our guys. And I'm not disagreeing with playing. That's not my point. They're probably their best when they're with us in practice and in the games and in the locker room. And that's why it's very, very important that they don't worry about things that are out of their control. This is not a normal college experience. I feel horrible for them. It is what it is. But just embrace the time that you have with your teammates and everybody because it's going to go away soon. And then who knows how much longer we are isolated and we are socially distanced. And, I don't know. But that mental health part's important for everybody. And that's been on the forefront of that, as well as blockout drills and shooting drills and free throws. I mean, that's just as important, obviously even more important.
Well, very good. As you said, hey, let's enjoy it. See where the ride takes us the last handful of weeks here. Thank you for the show.
You got it. Thank you.
All right, very good. For Justin Gaard and the head coach, Richard Pitino, this is Mike Grimm. Our show sponsored by Sunbelt Business Advisors. This is Gopher Basketball Weekly with Richard Pitino, sponsored from Learfield IMG College.